I actually thought one of the best parts about the game for us was the fact that when we went to the bench, we just kept going, and the bench made such a great contribution, and Rondo just kind of fit in seamlessly.
Did that balance surprise you at all? I mean, didn't seem like you were expecting that, offensively at least.
Well, we started Smart and Turner in the preseason. I mean, Thornton has had games where he's been our best scorer in the preseason. You know, Tyler Zeller didn't get a chance to play much tonight because they kind of forced our hand by playing small in the second half. And, you know, Bass was, you know, one of our better players last year. So it doesn't surprise me a ton because those guys are good players. And we don't, you know, hey, if our starters don't have it, then we're going to go quickly to the bench. And that's the kind of team that we're going to be. And we're just going to play with great depth and hopefully great energy.
Brad, in the first half, what was one of the key factors that contributed to your positive defensive effort?
Oh, because the second half wasn't very positive. I thought our intensity was really good. Even when we were scrambling and out of sorts, we were doing it hard. You know, we were flying all over the place. We were active. We were active to the biggest threats. They missed some open threes, but I thought that we really played in the first half defensively. It's hard to be up 26 and continue to play that way, and you saw it. I thought the start of the third quarter we were much less authoritative in our defensive stands, and so we've got to grow from that. And you know, it's a great game for us because I thought we did a lot of good things. We can build off those, but we can get a lot better, and we showed that too.
Brad, it looked like Rajon pulled up with his knee in the fourth quarter, and was that something that you guys looked at? Or?
No, I mean, I didn't think it was anything too big because he didn't want to come out. So you know, I had sent Evan to the bench to get him when he was shooting free throws, and he told me he was okay, but he was already a little bit past what I wanted him to do. So he kind of gave me that look like, you're taking me out, and so I think his knee's fine.
Yeah, Brad, talk a little about just the way your team played defensively, forcing a lot of turnovers, getting a lot of easy points. Just talk about that part tonight.
Well, the difference in the game was it was 50-40 or whatever, and we go on a 17-1 run to end the second quarter. And I thought that our aggressiveness was decent, or pretty good, the whole first half. But then I thought it turned up a notch on both ends at the very end of that quarter, and that was great. I mean, Marcus Smart is a impactful guy defensively, and he got his hands on a bunch of balls, and other guys got their hands on balls, and we moved the ball up the court. And you know, we just got to keep playing unselfishly, and we've got to keep playing with that kind of pace if we want to be good.
You touched on it real quick. I'm under the light. I'm sorry. You touched on it real quick just a second ago. But for a guy in his first game, is it exciting to see a guy, or positive to see a guy, jump an inbound pass, dive out of bounds for a loose ball like Marcus did, and sort of what does it do, especially in that run like you were talking about?
Well, Marcus wasn't the sixth pick in the draft because he's, you know, the next Kevin Durant, you know, as far as scoring the ball, and he's going to be able to score it great. He can get to the paint, he can shoot the ball, but you know, I don't think anybody, Marcus himself, would say that he's, you know, on pace to be a 30-point scorer at some point in his career. What separates him are the intangibles, and I told him that before the game. We met real briefly, and I just said, you know, and I said this to a group of kids yesterday. I've coached a lot of guys that are great guys, and he's one of the most unique people I've coached in his ability to raise the energy level of your team, and you can see that already. And when things were bad, things were going kind of south, you felt like he was going to help turn the momentum just in an emotional way.
Brad, I know you've seen Rajon in practice, and last year he was kind of playing on one leg. What did you think of him kind of full? Hell, that's probably the first time you've seen him.
Well, he absolutely destroyed our team on Friday in practice. And I thought it was really great until I watched the film and then thought our team stunk as far as in that practice. So that was a little bit of fool's gold, I thought. And then I thought that the last couple days he looks like himself. You know, he kind of looks like what I'd seen on film before I got here. I don't think he ever looked like that at any time last year as he was coming back, and that's just, That's the way it goes with that injury, but he is back to full speed, and he had a couple turnovers yesterday in practice when we were going up and down, but he was flying, and you know, it's good to see. It's really good to see. He made some great plays today, and he kind of stabilized our offense when we went high pick and roll with him at different times in the game, and that's also a nice little change of pace when, you know, because we didn't have a whole lot of high pick and rolls in until he comes back, until he came back.
Brad, big game from your front court as well, with Kelly and Jared both holding their own on both ends of the floor. Just obviously a challenging matchup for them. Just thoughts on their performance?
Yeah, I thought they played well. They've played well for most of the preseason, whether it's been in exhibition, but certainly in practice, and they complement each other well. So I'm not surprised by that. You know, again, I'm happy with the way that our entire team played, and those guys just kind of blended into that.
Final question, Mark.
Brad, obviously not a perfect performance, but how close was that, particularly the first half, to what you envision this team playing like?
Well, I will say this. Last year in our home opener, we were up 20-something at halftime and lost. So I wasn't really focused on all that was going well. I was focused on all that could possibly go wrong. So, you know, I think that in the first half, we just kind of kept grinding, playing hard, doing the little things right, you know, and then we went on our run. And that's what sometimes happens. Sometimes you don't go on that run, but you do all those little things, and you go through a cold streak, and you stay within reach. And so hopefully we can just, again, we're not going to shoot like that all the time, but hopefully we can play with that kind of tenacity and togetherness more so than not. I mean, we got the stretch we have continue to have coming up is we're going to have to play really well to be successful.
What about the balance offensively? I mean, 8 guys in double figures. It's got to be the type of ball movement and sharing and space that you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, we shot it a lot better. Only 1/4 of our shots were threes, which means that they were guarding the three-point line and we were driving and cutting. And that's good. That's part of, you've got to read and react to those types of things.
Coach, you said at practice earlier this week, you can't get too high and too low, especially in this month of November. How do you get the young guys to kind of understand that on this team, like the Marcus Smarts? And
they learned it in the game, you know. I mean, I think they can get awfully high and then it can go south quick. And I think that you know, these games are so long, the season's so long that you know, nobody's doing cartwheels, and everybody just realizes it's one game, move on to what's next. We have to get a lot better. We're not going to have 67-point halves very often, so we're going to have to figure out a way not to give up 60-point halves like we did in the second half.